But the church at that time, man, what they were wrestling with was being so conformed, not to Christ, but to the culture. Then they were off base. And this church, they were in a place where they were tolerating sin. Watch. And they were proud of that tolerance because they supported one of their members who was in sexual sin. Now, I read the first 2 verses to you here. This chapter gets way more pointed, if you will, as to what Paul says to do. It's crazy, but it's crazy good. And it's crazy important that we understand the words that are spoken and why it's here. Because in this situation, you had a Christian that was part of the church at Corinth. This was the man. And he was having sex with his stepmom, who was not a Christian. She was an unbeliever. And that relationship, that it was something that was publicly known within Corinth. You know, this is not a huge city, but it was publicly known there. And the church got behind the guy that was living this way, and they never called him out on it. They just tolerated it. And we need to understand that when it comes to taking the Bible and learning what God has called the church to, that it is healthy for a church to confront sin within its own ranks. This is not a message that says to run out there into the street and start beating everybody on the head that is living in a place of sexual immorality. In fact, later Paul will tell us, verse 9, 10, 11, he says, that's crazy. You'd have to go out of this stinking world to try to be removed from all of this stuff. He says, no, that's not what I'm saying. He says, what I'm teaching you is that you're not getting behind a practice that is blatantly toxic against what Christ has saved an individual from and moving into this lane of supporting that. And so the Bible teaches us this. And so now we have to begin with a place of understanding. And so let me bring it up to our time here, okay? As we begin, let me put a definition on tolerance. A tolerance in our time. What the word tolerance means right now. There are some of you that are a little bit older within this room, and you remember the traditional definition of tolerance of just nothing more than putting up with something. I just tolerated it, you know? You just put up with it. But that is no longer the popular meaning. The popular meaning, or the meaning that most are grabbing hold of today, you'll see it on the screen, tolerance. This is an attitude of mind that implies non-judgmental acceptance of different lifestyles, beliefs, and practices. And what it does, this modern definition, is it stirs an enormous amount of emotional tension, and it often moves into this area of making the actual word and applying the word in political tones. And this definition of tolerance, this is the way that tolerance is defined in most circles right now. It's part of the educational discussion and technicalities and so forth. And the point is for us this morning, as we begin this study, before we even look at the rest of the things here within this chapter, that we need to understand that any church that celebrates the affirmation of a Christian over accountability is gravely wrong. But the issues that are within this chapter, they're issues inside of the church. This is not for the outside world, okay? These are things to deal with inside of the church. This is for believers.